Good morning children. Welcome all to the revision class of Sectors of Indian Economy. Ma, today we'll first start with the entire chapter at one glance. Okay? Now here in the chapter the Sectors of Indian Economy, we have basically read what is the classification of sectors. Yes, so in that also the sectors were classified basing on three characteristics. What are they? The first is the nature of activity. Okay, the second is the working conditions, and the third is the ownership. Ownership part I did not explain you, and it is not there for the exam, but for your overall view I have even just written the ownership over here. Okay, now today let us discuss only these two, right ma? Now depending upon the nature of activity, the sectors are classified primarily into three. What are they? They are the primary sector, the secondary sector and the tertiary sector. You know what are the activities which are being carried out in these sectors, na? Primary sector means it is called the agricultural sector, which involves all the activities which use the natural resources like fishing, horticulture, agriculture, even the mining. So this all come under the primary sector. The secondary sector, also called as the industrial sector. What is done in this sector? The goods which are being produced in the primary sector are converted into products. Here they are taken to the industries and they are converted into products. So this is called the secondary sector or the industrial sector. And the third one is the tertiary sector. Tertiary sector or the service sector. The activities which do not come under the primary sector or the secondary sector, they all come under the tertiary sector. Okay ma? We have clearly seen what are these three sectors. Okay. Now let us shift to the classification basing on the working conditions. So basing on the working conditions, we have organized sector and unorganized sector. Okay. Now, what is an organized sector or what are the characteristics of organized sector? So here see, in organized sector, you can see regular employment, better wages, good working conditions, job security, fixed working hours, paid holidays and leaves. Leaves like sick leave or maternity leaves. And coming to the unorganized sector, it is quite opposite to the organized sector. If a question is asked, what distinguish the difference between the organized and the unorganized sector? So what all are there in the organized sector are not present in the unorganized sector. That's all. So simply, if here it is regular, here it is irregular employment. Here better wages, here low wages. Here good working conditions, here poor working conditions. Job security is there. Job security is not there. Fixed working hours, long working hours. Okay. Paid holidays, no paid holidays and no leaves. So this is about the organized and the unorganized sector. And if we see the classification of sectors with respect to ownership, that is divided into public sector and private sector. This will be discussed after the exams. So till here you understood, na? This was an overview of what we have discussed in the classes, right? Ma, I have forwarded you some repeated questions from nationalism in India as well as sectors of Indian economy. Those questions which I have given you, they are the questions which frequently appear in the board exams. Okay? I have not forwarded you as important questions for this exam. That is in toto for the board exams. So please be well versed with each and every question which is being given. If you get to know all the questions, then yes, you are sure to score very good marks. Okay. Now coming to the sectors of Indian economy, we have seen how the classification was done with respect to the nature of activity, with respect to working conditions and with respect to the ownership. Okay. Now another two concepts which we need to discuss and which students are getting confused, I feel. One is GDP or the gross domestic product. Now what is this GDP? The definition of GDP is the value of all final goods and services. Okay, remember, the value of all final goods and services produced within a country means within India during a particular year, during a particular financial year. Okay, this is GDP of a country. So now here, what is more confusing here is you have got this term final goods and services. Okay, final goods and services. Now what is meant by final goods and services, we'll see. I'll tell it to you with an example. Here I have got a pen with me, ma. Okay. Now this part of the pen, this small part of the pen is manufactured by a small cottage industry. Okay. The nib of this refill of the pen is manufactured in another cottage industry. The rubber grip which you see on the pens, this is manufactured in some other cottage industry. Okay, all of these are assembled, and when you assemble all of these, then this pen is the final good. Did you understand? This pen is the final good which we get. So when we are calculating GDP, the value of this final good only should be considered. Okay, so you are buying this pen in the market, you may buy it for some, say 7 rupees. So the value of the pen is 7 rupees. So that only will be considered when you calculate the GDP of a country. In the same way, in all the three sectors, in the primary sector also, you are having final goods. Yes, in the secondary sector, you have many final goods. And in the tertiary sector also, you have final goods and services. Okay, so the value of those final goods and services should only be considered when the GDP of a country is calculated. Is that clear to you, ma? Make it very clear. Don't unnecessarily get confused. Okay, and I am always saying final good, final good. Now, what is the actual meaning of final good? A good which is ready to be used by the consumer is called the final good. Okay, a good which is ready to be used or which is ready to be consumed by the consumer is the final good. This dupatta is the final good in the cloth industry. My dress is the final good from the textile industry. Our TVs are the final goods. We are buying it directly from the shop and using them as they are. We are not trying to change it in any other form. So we are using it as we are buying it. So any products, all the products which we buy and use immediately without changing their form, they come under the segment of the final goods. All these small products which I have told you, all these small products, they are called the intermediate goods. Did you understand? All these small products which are used in the production of the final goods, they are called the intermediate goods. So when this pen is sold in market for 7 rupees, then this pen's cost will include the cost of the refill. Yes, it will include the cost of this part of the pen. It will include the cost of this rubber grip. So all the costs of the intermediate goods are included in the cost of the final product. Is this? I hope it is very, very clear to you. Don't get confused between the final goods and the intermediate goods. And in the calculation of the GDP of a country, only the value of the final goods and services are considered. Understood, Noma? Now, the next most important is MGNREGA. This is very easily understandable. Now, what is the full form? First, if a question is about MGNREGA, you have to write the complete, the full form, the abbreviation of that particular MGNREGA. What is it? Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act. Okay. Now, what are the features of MG Narega? See here, those who are able to work and are guaranteed 100 days of employment in a year by the government. This comes with the concept of right to work and equal wage for equal work. Okay, whether male or female in MG Narega, whoever is working in the scheme of MG Narega, it may be a male or it may be a female, they are provided with equal wages. That is also more important. Okay ma? So here the government is providing, the government under this scheme is trying to provide employment. How many days of employment? 100 days of employment the government is providing 100 days of employment. This is again very important. Okay, and if the government fails to provide employment, then unemployment allowance will be given. Unemployment allowance means people who are registered with MG Narega, they will be getting some money in return from the government, because the government could not provide them with any work. Okay ma? Now the scheme targets SC, ST and poor women, and 1/3 beneficiaries should be women. So mostly the scheme targets people belonging to the SC, ST communities and the women. And the women also, 1/3 should be women only. So if 100 people are employed in the MG Narega scheme in a particular rural area, then 1/3 of its members should be women. So this is about MG Narega. I hope you are very clear with sectors of Indian economy ma. Prepare well. You have got 2 days of time. For the objective part, I can't say this is important, this is not important. You need to read the textbook, read and revise the textbook how many times you can, underline the important concepts whatever you feel. Okay, and ma, I repeatedly tell you, no question is going to be a direct question. Every question is twisted only. Okay, so be prepared for that. Good luck students.